Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapyam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhavacha Pachitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Utaimat Pirema Puro Vibhu Nirmakshati Adamusha Purusha Mukta Ganan Sada Sada Simakayam Krishna Bhagavan Vacham Sime Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Hare Krishna. So we continue reading the 40th chapter of the 4th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the story of King Vena, text 14 or 13, 13 and 14. 13 doesn't have a purport. So I'll read text 13 and then we'll chant.
13 is
on board, okay. Alright, then we'll chant 13 responsibly. Even though normally we put the verse with which has purport to chant responsibly for next time. Evam adhyavasainam Evam adhyavasainam Upavrajaya Pruvandanam Upabraja Prabhambenam Pravandanam Santvaitva Cha Samabhi Haribo. Evam, thus, Adyavasaya, having decided, Yenam, him, Munaya, the great sages, Buddhamanya, concealing their anger, Bhavraja, having approached, Abruvan, spoke, Benam, to King Bena, Santoitva, after pacifying, Cha, also, Samabi, with sweet words. The great sages, having thus decided, approached King Bena, concealing their real anger, they pacified him with sweet words and then spoke as follows. Text 14. Munaya uchuhu nripavarya nibotaitat yatte vigyapayama bho ayur shribala kirtinam tava tata vivarthanam. The great sages said, Dear King, we have come to give you good advice. Kindly hear us with great attention. By doing so, your duration of life and your opulence, strength and reputation will increase. So Prabhupada's purport, according to Vedic civilization, in a monarchy, the king is advised by saintly persons and sages. By taking their advice, he can become the greatest executive power, and everyone in his kingdom will be happy, peaceful, and prosperous. The great kings were very responsible in taking the instructions given by great saintly personalities. The kings used to accept the instructions given by great sages like Parashara, Vyasadeva, Narada, Devala, and Asita. In other words, they would first accept the authority of saintly persons and then execute their monarchical power. Unfortunately, in the present age of Kali, the head of government does not follow the instructions given by the saintly persons. Therefore, neither the citizens nor the man of government are very happy. Their duration of life is shortened, and almost everyone is wretched and bereft of bodily strength and spiritual power. If citizens want to be happy and prosperous in this democratic age, they should not elect rascals and fools who have no respect for saintly persons. Evam atyavasayanam munayo buddhamanyava upabraja brahvan benam Santvaitva cha samabhi. The great sages, having thus decided, approached King Bena. Concealing their real anger, they pacified him with sweet words and then spoke as follows. Munaya uchuhu nripavarya nibodhaitat yatte vigyapayama bho ayu shri bala kirtinam tava tata vivardhanam. The great sages said, Dear King, we have come to give you good advice. Kindly hear us with great attention. By doing so, your duration of life and your opulence, strength and reputation will increase. Hare Krishna. So before we begin, a humble request to silence your mobile phones and children. Make sure there are no disturbances. And so this is a very interesting episode here, how the Brahmanas were dealing with King Bena. And even though they were angry with him, they concealed their anger and they approached him with very sweet words. And so it is perfectly in line with what Bhagavad Gita says, right? The austerity of speech we can see how Brahmanas are perfectly following Krishna's instructions in Bhagavad Gita. And they behave like real gentlemen. So Prabhupada was saying, how do you recognize my disciple or follower? That it's going to be real gentlemen, right? So rogues and ruffians cannot be Prabhupada disciples. So, and gentleman is one who follows yagya, tapa and dana, right, in one's life. So austerity of speech is anubega karam vekyam satyam priyam hi tam chayat swadhyaya abhyasanam chaiva manmaya tapa uchyate. That first of all, the speech should be satyam, truthful. Then it should be priyam, pleasing to hear. Learning how to express truth in a pleasing manner. That's the art of the gentleman. It's very interesting. I lived for a while in Britain, and of course British are very proud of their gentleman culture. And it's very interesting how they manage to deal with difficult situations and difficult people. It's like many times, I'm sure some of the devotees also experience that sometimes people want to talk to you, but they come to ask you a question. And instead of asking a question, they just talk and 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 talk, and you think, when will that finish, right? Yeah, where is your question? When will you shut up? Finally, right? That it says it's really important in life not to miss a good chance to shut up. That's why our first process in devotional service is Shravanam, right? And only after we learn to hear we can say something. Because otherwise whatever we say will have no value and no benefit for anyone. And so, yeah, how many of you experienced yourself being caught up in this situation when people just talk and they never stop and you cannot get out, you have other things to do? Anyone experience that? Yeah, it's very interesting how British deal with that. They say, thank you very much. I know you're a really busy person, and so I don't want to hold you back. I know you have many important things to do. I don't want to hold you back. Please carry on and go on, doing your important things. Like that, so in a very subtle way, they kind of send person away without telling him, just instead of telling get lost, they tell, oh, you have many important things to do. I know you don't have time, so please carry on. Or one time I was doing book distribution, and it's not recommended to kind of impose you on unwilling people too much, right? Because then it becomes the 9th offense of the holy name, preaching to those who are not interested. So effective book distribution, you act like a postman, right? Because postman is looking for the right address, right? For the person who is actual receiver. So you go with books and you look for the receiver. You offer someone a book, and if this person says no, just move on. Don't waste your time. The more people you will cover, the more books you will distribute. Very simple mathematics, right? But sometimes false ego is acting in a very strange way, and someone says no, But you think, no, I have to force him to take the book, right? And so you waste so much time, and in the end you get no results and no books, and you also make that person even more antagonistic. So it's like false ego is the big obstacle in our devotional service. So, but yeah, it happens sometimes in book distribution. For some mysterious reason you think, no, that this person says, no, this is wrong address, and you say, as a crazy postman, this is the right address. This is meant for you. No, it's not meant for me. No, it is. And so I got caught up in this thing one time, and showing the books to a couple of young people. And they were saying, thank you very much, maybe next time, making excuses, trying to get away. But I kept pushing my luck, trying to check if they would take the books. And then one of them kind of got tired of me. And he looked at me and he said, and I kind of paused, and he said, can we help you in any way? And I realized, I went overboard, and so I said, oh, thank you. All right, I'll move on. So, but this is the British way, right? They manage, even in difficult situations, to behave in such a way that they don't offend people, right? So that's... this is what devotees meant to do, but, gentlemen might do it for material reasons, but devotee gentlemen do behave in a very nice way, but to please Guru Krishna and Vaishnavas and benefit everyone else. And so, therefore, Bhagavad Gita is also advising that our words should be pleasing, truthful, pleasing, and beneficial, and anudvegakaram vakyam, svadhyaya vyasanam chaiva, and in line with Vedic version, with Vedic authority, right? Authorized words, not just some kind of concoction. And so, we can see that Brahmanas here, they perfectly follow that principle of austerity of speech. And they tell the king that we wanted to advise you something, and if you listen to our advice, you will get ayu, you will get long lifespan, ayushman, right? This is the standard blessing. May you live long. So you will get Shri, you will become wealthy, and Bala, and you will become very powerful, and Kirti, you will become famous, everything the king can ever dream of. So, it's coming from positive side, right? Positive alternative. Instead of telling him you're idiot, you're shortening your lifespan by your foolish activities, and you will lose all your wealth and all your power, and you will become embarrassed, right? They come from the positive side. They say, if you change your behavior, if you listen to us, you will get all these wonderful advantages, which is true. The sages are saying truthful, telling the truth, but in a very positive way. Because if someone follows Vedic authority, if someone follows Brahmana's advice, and because Brahmanas are representatives of Krishna, they will help the person to become Krishna conscious. And Krishna conscious means all the benefits follow automatically, right? This is what the last verse of Bhagavad Gita says. Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanurdara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir Dhruvanitir Matir Mama. So Wherever there is Krishna, the master of all mystics, and wherever there is Arjuna, the supreme archer, there will always be Shri, opulence, Vijaya, victory, booty, extraordinary power, and niti, morality. And so, therefore, the King Bena had a very good opportunity to get wonderful blessings from the sages and brahmanas, and because they were controlling themselves, even though he did so much nonsense, but they tolerated and they didn't want to immediately take to action, but they wanted to give him a chance. This is what brahmanas and Vaishnavas do. And we know how Prabhupada was always giving a chance, right? That there were so many followers who were doing many wrong things, but Prabhupada would always give a chance, right? And so, because yes, Brahmanas and Vaishnavas are always very merciful and very tolerant. Shamadamata Pashucham. And so, but as we will learn, the king didn't follow, unfortunately, the good advice given by the sages. In Vedic times, Prabhupada explains, the kings always had Brahmanas and Vaishnavas to counsel them. And they respected Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. And Brahmanas and Vaishnavas were helping them to become Krishna conscious, which is the topmost achievement, which is much greater than any wealth, any power, any fame, because all these things are temporary, right? And they can be finished at any time in the best case scenario with the end of this body. All these things are over, right? And so, but Krishna consciousness is something which is never ending, right? And so Krishna consciousness gives one eternal benefit. That's why Chanakya Pandit says that one who is forsaking eternal for the sake of temporary loses eternal and then loses temporary also. Because temporary is temporary, right? So this is very important. And Vedic rulers, they knew that, and they had great respect for Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. Even though they had so much opulence and power, and many times Brahmanas and Vaishnavas were very, very renounced. But still, the kings had great respect for saints and sages, and because they themselves also were devotees of Krishna, and devotees are naturally very appreciative of other devotees. And so the kings, despite of their high position and all the material advantages, they saw those very simple and poor Brahmanas and Vaishnavas as greater than themselves, because they were thinking, look at this man. He's so detached and he's so happy, even though he's not into anything material. He's happy without anything. And I have so much wealth and so much power and fame, and still I'm so troubled by all these attachments. So detachment is the topmost wealth, you can say, the topmost achievement. And it's very interesting how even in the modern world, even to achieve success because sometimes we think detachment has nothing to do with success, right, in the material world. But no, detachment is the topmost quality. And it's like one devotee in London. His business is media agency. A media agency means that they help young entrepreneurs to succeed with their business. They invest in their business. They help them with business plan and everything. They help them to build their business up and make it very profitable. And then they take some cut from the business for themselves, like that. So that's their business. Their business is to help other people to succeed with their business. And so, and he was sharing with me that, we, put these young and inexperienced entrepreneurs on track, and this is how we make a lot of money, which is kind of interesting concept, right? Succeed by making other people succeed. And I was asking him, you had any cases of failures? He said practically none, but there was one. Because, we take into consideration everything, right? It's like bulletproof strategy. So practically there is no chance for entrepreneur to fail if he is guided by us. But there was one very ugly case of failure and of course they deal not with devotees. Unfortunately, devotees are not so much into entrepreneurship. But mostly they deal with outside people. And so there was one young man, he started his business, and they prepared everything for him, and they were guiding and supporting him, etc., etc. And he started succeeding with his business, making a lot of money. But then the very first thing he started doing is to enjoy. And he was really going overboard with it. I mean, in material life, people enjoy, this is natural for them, but some people really take it too far. And so this was the case, and he was like partying and not only taking alcohol, but also drugs and hard drugs also. And they started seeing him coming into his office with, this ring of cocaine powder around his nose, from sniffing cocaine. And he said, then they've realized, no, this is a sinking ship. We cannot continue investing in him because, he cannot control his senses. That's simple. And so they had to let him go, and his business failed, and he failed, and so it was brought miserable consequences. And I was thinking this is a very interesting material example how renunciation from sense gratification can even help in business, right? That those businessmen who control their senses and control their minds, and instead of spending money for sense gratification, they reinvest it in business, right? And they stay away from all this stuff. Even materially, they succeed, right? But those who go into the sense gratification mode, they fail, even materially. So that's the illustration that there are only two paths in life. Path of success or path of failure, right? And if you go towards your spiritual development, you will succeed both spiritually and materially. And if you go towards sense gratification, you will fail spiritually and materially. That's simple thing. And it's really important for all of us to understand that these things are interlinked, because fortune is Lakshmi, right? And Srimati Radharani is the origin of Lakshmi. So wherever there is uh, Narayan, Lakshmi is there. Wherever there is Krishna, Radharani is there. So everything good in life is connected to Krishna and to spiritual advancement, right? And so, yes, that's why the sages, they wanted to benefit King Bena, ultimately, yeah, by making him Krishna conscious, but they were saying, all these side benefits you will also have. It was like an advertisement, right? That you will be powerful, you will be famous, you will be wealthy, etc., and healthy, wealthy, famous, and powerful. Full package. And they could add to the top of that, you will also become Krishna conscious, but because they knew that he's not so much interested in that, so they kind of omitted that from the description for the time being. Because they were hoping that at least he will be hooked up by these material benefits, because they knew that he's very materialistic. But no, it didn't work out, and as we know, and Prabhupada says that in previous times, at least, these kings, they had Brahmanas and Vaishnavas for counseling, but nowadays, even that option is not there. That one bunch of rascals electing another bunch of rascals for their leaders, and so situation is pretty hopeless, right? It's like very similar to what it has been described in few verses before, that, you know, it's like log of wood burning from all sides, right? Leadership is useless, and following is useless, and everything is useless. It's like full-on Kali Yuga. What to do? And nevertheless, it's a lot of work, but we have to do the work, right? It's already happened. Already rascals, they elected big rascals into their leaders. But now we have to somehow make them Krishna conscious, right? And how does it change? By association. Sadhu Sangha, Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Shastra Koilava Matra Sadhu Sangha, Sarva Siddhi Hoy. That association is everything. It brings one to the topmost perfection, like in one story, how there was one, we're telling today a lot of stories for the kids, how one criminal, one thief, was in one kingdom in India, in one city, and this criminal was caught and beaten a few times, so he didn't live very easy life. And he was thinking, if only I would have enough money, I could give up all this stealing and live happily. And then suddenly, one situation happened, and the princess, the daughter of the king, she was very spiritually minded, and she said, I don't want to marry a prince. I want to marry a sadhu, which was very surprising desire, but she was very determined, as Kshatriyas are very determined, so this princess was also very determined. If I am to get married, I will only marry a sadhu. So the king had to comply with that desire of her, and then he called on Svayambara. You know, Svayambara means self-choice, right? That Kshatriya girls had that exceptional right to choose their own husband. Normally in Vedic culture, parents are helping their daughters to choose husbands, but in case of Kshatriyas, they choose their own husbands. But of course, kings are inviting husbands who are qualified. All the famous princes, etc. But then in this case, king had to call on all the sadhus. And it became famous, it became widely known that this princess, she wants to marry a sadhu, and so all the sadhus are invited for Swayamvara to the palace. And this fifth, he was very surprised. He was thinking, wow, this is unusual. And he was thinking, wow, these sadhus are really lucky. One of them will get this princess. And of course, if you marry a princess, you become a king, right? And you get huge kingdom, a lot of money and all this. And this fifth was thinking, if I would only be a sadhu, but wait, I could pretend to be a sadhu and go to the palace, and hopefully, maybe I'll be lucky enough to marry the princess. And so he dressed himself like a sadhu, and he took mala and he went to the royal palace. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. And then he saw so many sadhus were already sitting there, and the fifth was really excited. Hare Krishna, Krishna. Maybe I'll be lucky. But then he looked at other sadhus, and surprisingly enough, they looked very grave and even grumpy. The whole, crowd of grumpy sadhus were sitting there. And the fifth was thinking, why are they so, grumpy? It's such an ecstatic chance, opportunity. It's like biggest lottery one can ever imagine, right? Not just win a little money, but the whole kingdom. And so, but he thought, okay, they look so grave, so I better also look a little bit more serious. Otherwise they will, kind of expose me that I'm not a real sadhu. Looks like to be sadhu, you have to be look a little grumpy. So, and then the king came forward with the introductory speech to, explain more details why his daughter wants to marry a sadhu. And then he was expecting sadhus to kind of, give their blessings to start this Swayamvara. But then after the king's introductory speech, one sadhu stood up, and then it became revealed why are they so grumpy. And they said, we've respected your wish to come to the palace, but you have to understand one thing. Actually, this is the reason why I'm here for. You have to understand that you greatly insulted all of us. You think that we are so materialistic, we'll be interested in your princess and in all these worldly pleasures. It's a great insult, and I don't want to see your face anymore. And so he turned around and he left. And king was, a little bit shocked by such response. But then the second sadhu stood up, and he also, gave a very short but very powerful class on the spot, spontaneous, kind of gave king a sauce, and also turned around and left. And third and fourth sadhu. And the fifth was really surprised. He was thinking, oh my God, what's happening? These people, they just turning away from such an opportunity, lifetime chance. Are they crazy? And then he was, sitting there and listening, and one sadhu after another would stand up and give a powerful preaching about, the futility of material life and sense gratification. And after hearing, all these like really emotionally charged classes for quite a while, he was thinking, oh my God, they are right. And then finally, and one after another, every sadhu would stand up and tell his speech and leave. And so the numbers of sadhus were diminishing, by minute. And then finally, there was only the fifth remaining in the assembly hall. And the king, became completely desperate. And he said, at least would you please marry my daughter? But by that time, the, sadhu already was so brainwashed. The fifth was so brainwashed. He stood up and he said, do you think I'm the worst of all the sadhus? Everybody refused your daughter. I'm also not interested. So he turned around and he left as well. So we can see how powerful association is, right? It can be powerful in a bad way, but it can be powerful also in a good way. And so this is the position of devotees. Devotees should be giving good association to people. And in the same way as the brahmanas here, they come up with the plan how to encourage the king to do the right thing. So even though it didn't work out so well, things do not work out always. This is material world. We should rather be surprised when things do work out. Because as Prabhupada was saying that spiritual movement in the material world is impossible proposal, right? But at least they really tried their best. And so in the same way, devotees should be trying their best to give good association and encouragement to the people, to make them interested in Krishna conscious practices, or at least to support the devotees in what they're trying to do. And so we'll see if there are any questions or comments. Yes, Philip.
I have one question regarding the book distribution story you mentioned in the beginning. And when we meet people on books, some people are ready, they take the books, other people maybe they're not ready, so we don't push them. But what do we do for all those people who are not interested yet? What can we do for them?
What can we do for those who are not interested? Well, at least we can leave a good impression on them, that we are not pushing them, we're not trying to force them, wish them the best, and like normally I say, okay, no problem, we'll see you later, have a good day, something like that. So, and next time, because if people are left with good impression about the devotees, then, maybe, they do not take books for the simple reason that they don't have money at the moment, or they have some serious problem happening in their life and their mind is too disturbed, and it's not the right time, basically speaking. But if we leave the good impression and they will have good attitude towards the devotees, that in itself will create agyata sukriti, which will help them to come to Krishna consciousness later. And it's like Prabhupada, when he was taking morning walk, and he met one man that was in London, and he said, "Good morning, sir." And the man responded, "Good morning, sir." And devotees were very surprised. They were saying, "Srila Prabhupada, like, you didn't tell this man Hare Krishna. Why did you tell him good morning?" And Prabhupada said, because I told him good morning, and so he responded good morning. And so because he wished good to the devotees, he made spiritual advancement. Right? So it's very, very important for us to give people opportunity to make at least little spiritual advancement. And that spiritual advancement will serve as the basis for their, future association with the devotees. Yes, Vijayapitambar Prabhu.
Maharaj, this verse in Bhagavatam, the Kuntimarani phrase that Krishna is the property of the materially impoverished. And so we see when there are people who are materially not so well-to-do, or maybe momentarily or circumstantially, it's easier to preach to them. But when in your interactions with people who are successful, how do you go about preaching to them and encouraging them in Krishna consciousness?
Yes, how to encourage successful people in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, this is a very good question, because even though it's easier to encourage people who are materially impoverished to take up to Krishna consciousness or join a religion, like in many places in India, all these preachers, they go to some really poor people, like Christians or whoever, and they say, just become Christian and we'll give you a lot of money, we'll give you this and that. So because of these material reasons, people join, right? But according to Bhagavad Gita, this is not the best reason to take up to Krishna consciousness. Chaturvida bhajante mam jana sukritino jana arto jigyasu artathi gyanicha bharata shabha. That 4 types of people, they take up to Krishna consciousness, Krishna says, impoverished, looking for wealth, inquisitive, and looking for knowledge. And actually, if people are suffering or they looking for knowledge, these are not looking for wealth. These are material reasons, and many times it happens that people are suffering, they take up to Krishna consciousness, their problem is solved, and they have no more motivation to practice Krishna consciousness, so they go away. Or someone is in need of money, then starts chanting Hare Krishna, gets money and goes away. Right? So that's why Krishna says Tasham Gyani Nityayukta Bhakti Vishishate, that the best one is Gyani, the best one who is looking for knowledge. So the higher the class of people, the more steady one will be in Krishna consciousness. That's why from the very beginning of Bhagavad Gita, it's very clearly explained, Evam parampara praptam emam rajarshayavitu, that this knowledge, spiritual knowledge which was passed through the chain of disciplic succession, was actually meant for pious kings, for saintly kings. And so Krishna consciousness is meant for the top level of human society, but it's not so easy to deal with them, because, with some peasant, it's really easy, right? Because they're like so fearful and so kind of submissive, right? Because they're at the bottom of the society, and so whatever you tell them, hey, do this, do that, yes, sir. Very submissive, but this submissiveness is materially motivated. But you deal with high-class people, you cannot just tell them left and right and whatever, right? They can tell us these things. And so that's why it's really important to understand where they are at and how to deal with them first. And so that's why the kind of people who can connect with these powerful personalities should be the most experienced devotees, expert in Shravanam, right? Expert in hearing, understanding people, and then understanding what are their interests and how to connect them to Krishna consciousness. Like that. So preaching to the most powerful people can only be done by those who are expert in, hearing, who have very nicely developed listening skills, which is the hallmark of very advanced devotee. Talking anyone can do, but have advanced listening skills, that's rare. Yes. And you're the next one.
You spoke about how you have to speak the truth, but also in a pleasing way. But a lot of times you find like the truth is very unpalatable. So at those times, is it just better not to speak?
Yeah, before we say, it's really important to take into consideration certain factors, and I think the most important factor is, well, actually, Chaupati devotees explain very interesting things. They said that the first factor is that, is it really true what I think, or it is just my perception? And second, will it actually benefit person, right? Whether person will be benefited from that. Will he or she be able to accept that, right? Because if we tell someone the truth, but they don't care about our words, so what's the use, right? We just wasted our time and energy, and instead of helping them to advance, if they think badly of us, and because we're representing Krishna, we help them to degrade, because they became even more offensive, right? The ninth offense of the holy name. And these are the most important considerations, and then at least try to say it in positive way, as positive as we can. Priya. Or sometimes questions are helpful. Instead of telling the person that this activity will produce horrible results for you, right? And then this person will, say, oh, these results came because you cursed me, right? By predicting this future. Instead, you can ask, what kind of results do you think this activity will produce, right? Just take more humble position and inquire. And many times, if you ask kind of leading question, clarifying question, people realize the reality much better than when we tell them. Of course, Prabhupada says, if you are in a superior position and people are surrendered unto you, they are like your disciples or followers, yeah, you can afford the luxury of telling them directly without bothering too much. But even in that case, I mean, if a spiritual leader will, kind of tell people things in unpalatable way too many times, that can also destroy the relationship. So that's why Prabhupada said devotee should be real gentlemen, right? Deal in a pleasing way, deal in a cultured way, as much as possible. And only in exceptional cases, maybe, sometimes it's question of life and death, and there is no time for pleasantries, so we can tell the truth directly.
last Friday while I was doing books, one guy was asking me too many questions. So we can't just keep on answering the questions, otherwise we can't do more books. So what should we do with that?
Yeah, you can invite him to the temple and someone can talk to him here, or give him some contact, let him come, and because devotee isn't here, can give him time. The temple is the right place for answering spiritual questions. Okay? All right?
Kerry said it's very important to tell, as Prabhupada said, to tell people what is palatable to them. When you were telling me about the example about that gardener in London, Sasuru Maharaj also gave the same thing, Prabhupada nectar. That Prabhupada was doing a round in the morning walk, and he met a gardener. And said, good morning, and he said, good morning. So Prabhupada talked to him. He looked very sincere and serious. So he Prabhupada asked him, what are you growing? So he said, onions and garlic. And Prabhupada said, better grow okra, bindi. So just to tell him that if you grow those things, and your consciousness will be better than growing those stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Okay, Vidya Pitambara and Mataji, and I think this should be the end of the class, otherwise we're running out of time. Yeah.
So my just continuation on my previous question. If someone is materially very optimistic, and because if one wants to be successful materially, then there is some good amount of optimism that's required. Would that be a disqualification for them to take up a Krishna consciousness? Because there won't be any inquiries then.
Yeah, if someone is interested in success, we can easily connect it to becoming Krishna conscious. We can tell that not only you can become successful in this lifetime, but you can become immortal and, so many other spiritual benefits. And so, because Krishna consciousness is the best thing, the most attractive thing one can ever imagine. And so, if we present Krishna consciousness properly, everyone should be attracted to it. All right?
Pastor, okay, say, what is the cost you need to pay for this? Because, like I do pastoral care in hospitals, and you can never tell advices, you always have to listen. But you can ask, what is the cost for this? For example, they say, I want this, I want that, and I did this. And they say, what is the cost you need to pay to get that? And yesterday, about the question about the books, we can say all the answers are in the books. I actually gave to the Bhagavad Gita to the security guard. He just looked at it. I asked him to give to some other lady a book, and he looked at it. This is a Hindu book, and I said, this is not a Hindu book. Medicine is not different for yellow race, for black race, for white race. It's same for everyone. This is a medicine for everyone. And he opened it, and I said, do you want to get one? And he said, yes. And I went and brought for him a Bhagavad Gita, and he looked at it and says, I'm going to read this. And I said, and because I remember what you said about that Bhagavad Gita answered all your questions, I said, this book will answer all your questions, last questions. So I was really happy yesterday.
Very good. Haribo. So thank you all very much. We'll finish here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.